Hello everyone, my name is Michaela, and today I'll be covering the U.S. market supplier compliance requirements. This framework is essential for ensuring compliance, food safety, and accountability when shipping food products to the United States. Whether you're a supplier, importer, or manufacturer, understanding these requirements is key for smooth operations and regulatory adherence. Let's get started. In this presentation, we will cover several topics including understanding supplier requirements for U.S. shipments, why compliance matters, basic supplier requirements for U.S. market, additional requirements based on product type, additional requirements for supplying larger companies, and labeling requirements. Shipping food products to the United States requires strict compliance with 21 CFR regulations to ensure safety, traceability, and legal accountability. These regulations establish requirements for current good manufacturing practices, hazard analysis and risk-based preventive controls, and food safety documentation. By adhering to these guidelines, suppliers can meet legal requirements, build customer trust, and ensure smooth operations in the U.S. market. Why does compliance matter? Compliance is not optional. It's necessary for food safety, ensuring products are free from contamination, efficient customs clearance, avoiding delays or penalties at the border, and legal protection, reducing financial and reputational risks. To begin with, any supplier aiming to enter the U.S. food market must comply with a set of foundational regulatory requirements, including FDA facility registration, U.S. agent requirement, prior notice submission to FDA, FSMA compliance, and traceability and record keeping. Let's go over them one by one. First is the FDA facility registration. This is not optional as it is a legal requirement. All foreign facilities that manufacture, process, pack, or store food intended for U.S. consumption must register with the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. This registration is the FDA's way of knowing who is producing food for the U.S. market and where it's coming from. And without it, your shipments won't be allowed into the country. Next is the U.S. agent requirement. Every foreign facility must appoint a U.S.-based agent. This person serves as the point of contact between the FDA and the foreign facility. Their role is especially important when there are emergencies such as contamination issues or if the FDA needs clarification on regulatory matters. The U.S. agent must be accessible and responsive, and they're essentially your voice in the U.S. regulatory system. Prior notice to FDA is required for every food shipment entering the U.S. It allows the FDA to screen imports and act quickly if there's a potential safety risk. FSMA compliance means suppliers must follow the Food Safety Modernization Act. This law emphasizes prevention over reaction, so facilities needed to have a documented food safety plan and implement risk-based controls. Finally, traceability and record keeping are key. Suppliers must maintain detailed records of raw materials, ingredients, and finished products. This ensures that if there's a safety concern or recall, products can be traced quickly through the supply chain. Next, we have the key document requirements. These requirements from the Allergen declaration down to GRAS statement helps manage raw materials and ensure food safety before products enter production or distribution. Let's go through these requirements one by one to understand their importance. First is the Allergen declaration or compliance statement. It is required for any food product that contains allergens. The FDA mandates this to protect consumer safety and ensure compliance with allergen labeling regulations. It's essential for suppliers to clearly identify any allergens in the products to avoid health risks. A statement of authenticity confirms that the product is genuine and unaltered. This is particularly important for high-value or origin-sensitive products, helping to assure product integrity and maintain traceability throughout the supply chain. A bill of lading serves as a receipt for goods and includes important shipment details. It's essential for customs clearance and acts as a proof of shipment during the import process. A country of origin statement indicates where the product was manufactured. This is required by U.S. Customs to ensure compliance with trade regulations and accurate tariff assessment. The FDA Bioterrorism Registration Affidavit or FDA Food Facility Registration Statement certifies that the facility is registered with the FDA. This is crucial for tracking and responding to potential food safety threats and ensuring that foreign facilities comply with U.S. safety and security regulations. A FSMA compliance statement confirms adherence to the preventive food safety measures outlined by the Food Safety Modernization Act. FSMA establishes the legal framework for food safety, and compliance is mandatory for anyone importing food into the U.S. A HACCP PC Food Safety Compliance Statement confirms that a facility shows the Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points or Preventive Control Standards. This is crucial for ensuring food safety and preventing contamination throughout the supply chain. A hold harmless agreement or guarantee warranty of product statement is a contract where one party agrees not to hold the other responsible for damages, losses, or legal claims. Suppliers often provide this to guarantee their product is safe and compliant with regulations, protecting the importer against liability in case of defects or health issues. Product specification sheets provide detailed information about the product's ingredients, nutrition, and processing. These sheets are essential for ensuring that the products meet all regulatory and quality standards required for import into the U.S. Proof of laboratory testing or a certificate of analysis proves lab test results confirming the product's safety and quality. It verifies that the product is safe for consumption and complies with U.S. health standards. Safety data sheets or MSDS provide essential information on the safety precautions for handling and using a product, particularly if it contains hazardous substances. These documents are required for the safe handling of chemicals or hazardous materials. A transportation agreement or letter outlines the terms and conditions for transporting the product. This ensures that goods are shipped in compliance with regulatory requirements and provides traceability in case any issues arise during transit. And lastly, we have the GRAS statement. This confirms that the ingredients used are generally recognized as safe. This is required only if the ingredient hasn't already been approved or is not commonly used in food. For standard ingredients, this designation isn't necessary, making the GRAS statement conditionally useful. These key documents are essential for ensuring compliance with U.S. import regulations and maintaining product safety and integrity. And now that we've covered the key requirements for entering the U.S. market, let's move on to the next topic. So next we have the additional requirements based on product type. For products such as meat and poultry, acidified foods, dairy products, seafood, juices and beverages, and ready-to-eat foods, additional requirements are needed. Now let's go over these requirements one by one. When it comes to meat and poultry, two key requirements are essential for U.S. importation. First is the USDA Meat and Poultry Inspection Certificate. This certificate confirms that the meat or poultry product has been inspected and passed by the USDA Food Safety and Inspection Service for export in the U.S. Next is the USDA Label Approval. This approval ensures that the product labeling meets USDA FSIS standards, guaranteeing compliance with U.S. regulations. For acidified foods, we have first the Approved Scheduled Process document. This must be filed with the FDA to confirm that the acidification process is safe and complies with FDA regulations. Next is the Acidified Foods Compliance Statement. This statement certifies that the product meets the specific acidified food requirement by the FDA, ensuring the product's safety and regulatory compliance. And lastly, for acidified foods, we have the pH monitoring records. These records demonstrate that the pH of the product is carefully controlled and meets the necessary safety standards. Proper pH control is critical for preventing bacterial growth and ensuring the product's safety for consumption. Next, we have dairy products. First requirement is Grade A Pasteurized Milk Ordinance or PMO compliance documentation. This verifies that the dairy products comply with U.S. pasteurization standards, ensuring safety and quality. Next, we have pasteurization records. These records confirm that the pasteurization process was carried out according to the required time and temperature parameters, ensuring that the product is safe for consumption. For seafoods, we have the Raw Seafood Certification. This certification verifies that the seafood comes from an FDA-approved source and meets the required safety standards, ensuring that it is also safe for consumption and compliance with U.S. regulations. And lastly, for RTE, or Ready-to-Eat Foods, we have the Environmental Monitoring Program. This program helps control potential contamination risks such as listeria in the production environment, ensuring the food remains safe during production. And lastly, we have the Shelf Life Validation Study. This study confirms that the product remains safe for consumption within the established shelf life period, ensuring the product's quality and safety for consumers. These additional requirements help ensure that products meet specific safety and quality standards based on their type. Now, let's move on to the next section where we'll discuss additional requirements for supplying larger companies. When supplying larger companies, there are additional requirements to ensure that your business can meet their more stringent standards. These include requirements listed below from mock recall compliance statement down to vendor questionnaire or supplier self-assessment form. Now let's take a closer look at these requirements. First is the mock recall compliance statement. This statement confirms that mock recalls are conducted regularly to test the effectiveness of recall systems. It ensures that supplier is prepared to quickly address food safety issues and prevent further risks in the supply chain. Next is coding, traceability, and recall systems details or reference. This document explains the product coding system used to track products through the supply chain. It is essential for efficient recalls and ensures that products can be traced back to their origin in case of safety concerns. Next, we have the most recent third-party audit certificate, audit report, and audit corrective actions. This shows the latest audit results and corrective actions, ensuring food safety and compliance. The pallet requirements defines palletizing standards for storage and shipment, required only if specified by the buyer or distributor. The Product Safety Events Compliance Letter is a letter that details any recall history and corrective actions taken, promoting transparency and helping importers assess supplier risks. While not legally required, it is useful for due diligence and risk management. A halal certificate is required only if the product is marketed or claimed as halal. A kosher certificate is required for kosher-sensitive markets. A non-GMO statement is a declaration confirming the product does not contain genetically modified organisms, required only if a non-GMO claim is made or requested by the buyer. Organic certificate is required only if the product is labeled or sold as organic. Third-party food safety certification is needed if the supplier must demonstrate an accredited food safety management system, ensuring compliance with recognized safety standards. The Social Compliance Audit Report, is required if the buyer requests confirmation of compliance with social responsibility standards. Product liability insurance certificate is needed if the supplier must show insurance coverage against potential product defects or safety concerns. Packaging compliance statements is required if the packaging meets specific legal or environmental standards. And lastly, the vendor questionnaire or supplier self-assessment form is needed if the buyer asks the supplier to complete a self-assessment to demonstrate compliance with their specific requirements. These additional requirements help ensure that suppliers meet the higher standards set by larger companies, covering areas such as social responsibility, liability, packaging, and more. Next, let's cover the labeling requirements for products entering the US market. For the first one, we have product identity statement. The name of the product must be clearly stated on the label. It's important that the name is not misleading or confusing to customers, so it accurately reflects the product. Next is ingredients list. All ingredients must be listed in descending order of weight. This includes all components such as spices, preservatives, and artificial colors or flavors. Additionally, any allergens must be clearly listed as per the Food Allergen Labeling and Consumer Protection Act. Next, we have the allergen information. Common allergens such as milk, eggs, fish, shellfish, peanuts, tree nuts, wheat, soybeans, and gluten must be clearly declared on the label. This is usually done in a contains statement under the ingredients list or separately in an allergen statement. Net quantity of contents. The amount of food in the package must be listed in both metric and US standard units. Next is nutritional information. This is required for most packaged food, and this must include the serving size, calories, and key nutrients like total fat, cholesterol, sodium, carbohydrates, protein, vitamins, and minerals. Percent daily values should also be based on a 2,000 calorie diet. Another key requirement is the country of origin. This lets consumers and regulators know exactly where the product was made or sourced. For imported goods, labels should clearly state something like made in or product of. This isn't just for transparency. It is also required for compliance with US customs regulations. Next is the manufacturer or distributor information. Every product label must include the name and address of the responsible party, whether it's the manufacturer, the packer, or the distributor. If the product comes from overseas, then the US importer's name and address must also appear on the label. This is important for accountability, traceability, and in case any follow-up is needed regarding safety or quality. Next is expiration or use-by date. For perishable items, it's essential to include a clear expiration, use-by, or best before date. This helps ensure food safety and informs consumers of product freshness and shelf life. And lastly, we have the supplemental statements. These are only required if certain claims are made. For example, if a product is labeled as organic, it must meet USDA organic standards and display the official USDA organic seal. If it's kosher, a valid kosher certification mark should be shown. And if a product is labeled gluten-free, it must meet the FDA's strict definition for allowable gluten content. And that concludes our presentation on compliance requirements for exporting food products to the US market. Whether you're working with small distributors or large retailers, staying ahead on these requirements will not only protect your business, but also help you build trust and long-term success in the US market. Once again, thank you and have a nice day.